Hello students. Last time we have explained about the definition of animal ecology and we have explained the various concepts of the ecology together with the various branches of the ecology. Today we are going to explain the scope and significance of ecology. Ecology is a complex branch of biology which is related with almost all branches of science. Ecologists use the knowledge of all subjects and their branches. He also requires the knowledge of use of different equipments like radioisotopes, spectrophotometer, colorimeter, pH meter, computers, etc. to understand the ecological problems. Ecologists must have the knowledge of use of pesticides, detergents, sewage, disposal, power dams, urban development, atomic radiations, etc. to understand the ecological problems. In modern days, in India, man is using all available resources of the nature for his needs and benefits indiscriminately or without knowledge, and changing the environment adversely, which has direct effect on the environment with a serious boomerangs or the problems for the life on earth and also on the mankind. For example, deforestation, that is the uh, large quantity of trees which are cut down for the land use for various purposes like agriculture, industrialization, urbanization, construction of roads, etc. Thus, human being himself has created many problems like constant floods of the major rivers, soil erosion, mountain slides or landslides, air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, greenhouse effect, global warming, acid rain, eutrophication. So there are several problems which has been created in the environment. So the man he himself created the social unrest or the instability and the health problems. Of course, without sure, human must not play or interfere with the natural ecosystems. If not, the existence of man itself come into danger. So this is what about the scope of the studies of the ecology. Then we'll define the various terms in this topic, that is environment. So environment is the sum total of surrounding conditions influencing the growth and development of plants and animals, or it is the study of interrelationship. Environment is the study of interrelationships between living and non-living things of the environment is called as environmental science, or it is also called as environmental biology. It is multidimensional. Environmental science or the study of environmental science or environment itself is a multidimensional, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary science. So we can define the environment as it is the study of interrelationships. Environment is defined as the study of simply the interrelationships between the living and non-living factors or the things of the environment, and this includes the plants, animals, and the microorganisms. These are the living entities of the environment, and these are interrelating or interacting with the abiotic factors of the environment, that is air, soil, water, sunlight, humidity, or whatever the abiotic factors, that is radiations, which are present in the environment in the form of non-living things, so that are interacting with one another, or without one other can't be balanced. So the living organisms or the living things cannot exist without the support of the non-living factors or the physical factors or the physical environment which is present around the all living organisms, is called as the environmental science. So it is multidimensional, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary science. Then population. Population is defined as a total group of individuals belonging to same species or a single species in a given area or a region at a given time or a specific time is called as a population. So population is defined as a total group of organisms or total group of individuals of same species present in a given area at a given time is called as population. Means population means a study of members or all individuals of single species. Populations are dynamic. Populations are dynamic. That means populations are continuously changing. Populations are not static or constant at all time. It has many characteristics or the functions of the whole group or the entire group of organisms belonging to same species, and not the individual member, So the population has several characteristics or the functions, and which are applicable to the single group of organism belonging to single species, not a single member or individual members, but all the members, whatever the total number of individuals or the organisms belonging to single species present in the particular area, having many characteristics, and these are applicable in the form of different functions or the characteristics of a population, such as population density. Population density means, again, it is a characteristic or the function of the population, that is population density means a total number or the particular number of the individuals in a particular area at a particular time. So population density is a total number of organisms belonging to same species or single species in a given area at a given time is called as population density. So this is simply a total number of organisms of a given area. Then natality. Natality means the birth rate. This is again the rate of birth of a particular species of organism in a given area. Natality, birth rate of the population. Birth rate of the population means a single species, organisms of single species having a definite birth rate, that is also a function of population, that is natality or birth rate of the population or a group of organism of same species. Similarly, mortality. The mortality means death rate, that is also measured for the particular group of organism belonging to same species in a given area. Mortality means a death rate of the population. Then age distribution. Age distribution. So there are several age groups such as reproductive, reproductive and post reproductive age. So age distribution. So age distribution is also applicable for a population or a total number of organisms of the same species. So how many numbers are at pre-reproductive stage, or how many members or number of organisms are of reproductive stage or post-reproductive stage. So age distribution, then population growth form, how the population curve is formed or is shown by the particular population in a definite conditions of the environment or particular region where the population growth studies are done. So population growth form means how the population growth curve is formed with respect to its density or a time in a particular area, so that population growth form or the curves may be sigmoid or may be J-shaped. So the population growth curves can be a J-shaped, where there is a rapid growth of population and a sudden decline or the decrease, representing the J-shaped curve, or sigmoid curve, where the population grows slowly, reaches to maximum, and then become remaining constant and representing S-shaped curve or the sigmoid curve. So this can also be observed in case of a population, means total organisms or the members or total group of organisms of the same species. Then population fluctuations. Population fluctuation. So population number or the total number of organisms fluctuates or continuously changing in a particular region, that is a population fluctuations. So number decreases, increases, again decreases, or there may be several growth forms can be observed representing the change of population number or the fluctuations. Then population dispersal. Population dispersal, that is the uh, type of movements type of movements shown by a particular group or total group of organisms of same species, and this happens due to the variable abiotic or biotic conditions of the region where this particular population study is done, that shows that may shows the population dispersal, that is the migration or the movement of organisms from the given area or to the given area. So number of organisms can move out, that is emigration, or a number of organisms of the same species can enter in a population due to certain environmental conditions, representing population dispersal or a distribution. Population dispersal or a distribution. So number of organisms or the members of the population can move to the into or out, in or out, in a particular region due to certain uh, biotic or abiotic condition of the environment. And lastly, the biotic potential. Biotic potential means the capacity of the different plants, animals, or the microorganisms. Biotic potentials means how they can uh, feed, they can grow, they can survive, or they can reproduce in a particular area or at a particular or a different favorable or unfavorable conditions of the environment, and they can sustain, they can grow, they can uh, survive themselves in the environment, and this is because of their biotic potential. Biotic potential means the capacity or the ability of the population or the capacity of the population to remain viable in a particular environmental condition, that is called as biotic potential. So this is the capacity or ability of members of the population to live in a definite conditions of the environment or a region. So this is about the population and different characteristics of the population. Then the community. Community is defined as the total group of individuals of different or all the species in a given area or a region at a specific time. So community can be defined as total number of organisms or individuals belonging to different species or all the species in a given area at a given time. Or it can be defined as the community comprises or the community is consisting of or formed of all the populations of a given area. We know the population. Population means the total number of organisms belonging to single species. Population is defined as the total number of individuals belonging to same species or a single species is called as a population. So when several populations comes together will form the community. So community comprising or consisting of almost all the populations or the total number of organisms belonging to all species or different species in a given area is called as community. There is also a close interrelationship between the community, that is the organisms of different species. There is a close interrelationship. There is a close interrelationship between the community or the total number of organisms or the individuals of all species and the non-living factors of an environment, and also between the members of communities in a given area. So this is quite clear that while the study of population or while the study of community, there is a interrelationship. Even in a definition of environment, we have explained that it is the study of interrelationships between living and non-living things or the factors of the environment. In case of population, we have studied that or explained that it is the study of interrelationships of total number of organisms of a single species together with its non-living environment or the abiotic factors or the environmental factors. And in case of community, it is again the study of interrelationship of all the species, entire number of individuals belonging to all species or the different species together with their relationship with the non-living factors, and also the interrelation or the relationship between the members of all the populations or members, whatever the members, or all organisms, whether they are belonging to same species or belonging to different species, but they are interacting or interrelating with another, and side by side they are also interacting with the physical environment or the surrounding environment. So the community comprises or is formed of all the populations of a given area, and there is a close interrelationship, and there is a close interrelationship between the community and the non-living factors of the environment together with the interrelationship between the members of the communities or members of all the species or the different species in a given area is called as community. So similar to the characteristics or the functions of the population or the whole group of organism. In case of community also, there are certain attributes or the characters or the functions of the community. So community is also having number of or many attributes or the characteristics similar to the population. As we have studied or explained, the various attributes or the characteristics or the functions of the population, such as population density, natality, mortality, age distribution, population growth, population fluctuation, population dispersal, and the biotic potential. So, same type of attributes or somehow different type of attributes or the characteristics are also found among the community also, and that are community structure. Community structure, first one is a community structure, means how the community is formed or what is the composition of the community. What is the composition of the community, which will include certainly all type of individuals or the organisms belonging to different species together with plants, animals, and the microorganisms. So that will form a community structure in a particular area. Then ecological dominance and the indicators. Ecological dominance and the indicators. So community structure, community also shows one of the attribute, that is ecological dominance, means how the physical environment interacts and influences the ecological dominance over the community or the populations. Over community or the populations means the community or the populations can be dominated by the physical environment. So environmental condition or the physical factors of the environment which are dominant, which are showing a dominance, or indicators, means that can also indicate a certain favorable or unfavorable condition of the environment, and this can be applicable for the community or a total group of organisms belonging to all the species in a particular region will show the ecological dominance and the indicators. Then ecological stratification. Ecological stratification or different layers at a definite height from the Earth's surface. There are variable uh, conditions or variable abiotic factors or the parameters, and which are suitable for the definite species of organism, maybe plants, animals, or the microorganisms which survive at a certain height from the Earth's surface, and this will ultimately representing the ecological stratification. So ultimately, the populations or the different type of organisms or the animals, maybe microorganisms or the smaller invertebrates or the vertebrates, which are occurring at different levels as per the habitat, as per the habitat or the components of the habitat which may suit or may not suit to the different species of organism, and this will show the ecological stratification. That is also applicable to the community. Then ecotone and age effect. Ecotone and age effect. So last time we have explained the ecotone. Ecotone means this is the transitory region or a junction or a region at the junction or the transition where the two habitats or two ecosystems come together, and this particular region representing the boundary or a ecotone, boundary between the two ecosystems, two different ecosystems with a variable environmental conditions. Ecotone represents a region where there is a junction or a boundary of two different ecosystem or two different regions or two different environmental conditions called as ecotone and the age effect. So at this region or at the junction of two habitats or the two environmental conditions, very different environmental conditions, there may be uh, a certain other environmental condition and which can be tolerated by a definite species or a particular group or different group of organisms. uh, they can survive at the boundary. So on either sides there are different environmental conditions which are tolerated or registered by different group of organisms on either sides, but at the ecotone region or at the junction of these two environmental conditions, the number of individuals or number of species can be more because these two conditions can be tolerated by the some species uh, in a more intensity, or the conditions at the junction or the boundary may be tolerated by the species of organisms of both the sides, of either sides. So whatever the environmental conditions present on either sides that are suitable for definite species or a particular number of species, but at the boundary or at the ecotone region or at the edge region, the environmental conditions are somewhat compensating or representing the optimum level of the uh, favorable or unfavorable conditions, and thus this particular environmental condition can be registered by more number of species of either sides. So whatever the species present on either sides of the ecotone or the edge or the boundary, both groups or the groups of either sides or both the sides can can grow better at the boundary region, and this kind of study uh, is applicable for the community or all the species or different species of the organism at the or along the ecotone region or the edge region. So this is the edge effect, where the conditions are more suitable or favorable for certain species of the either sides, and thus the usually the number of species or the species richness is more at the boundary or at the ecotone region than the either sides or two different habitats which are present on either sides of the ecotone or the boundary of two different habitats. So this is applicable to the community. Then ecological niches. So what are the biological functions of the ecosystem? What are the functions of the biological or ecological system or the ecosystems, and uh, these are the habits of the respective ecosystem. So ecological niches means a variable or the entire functioning of the different ecosystems together. So there are different functions of the ecosystem, and that will represent the ecological niches. Ecological niches means collective functions of the different ecosystems or the variable ecosystems, that is ecological niches, ecological niche. So a result of ecosystem or the functioning of the particular ecosystem and the functioning of the all the ecosystems, functioning or the whatever the function or whatever is the biological function of particular ecosystem that can be calculated or measured for particular ecosystem. But when we consider the functions of all the ecosystems together is called as ecological niche. Then ecological equivalence and ecological equivalence means the equal conditions, that is equivalence. Ecological equivalence or a balance, ecological balance or ecological equivalence, that is also applicable for the community or all the species or total number of organisms belonging to all species, where we can study the ecological equivalence or ecological niches. Then lastly, the ecological succession. Ecological succession means, for example, the development or the formation or development or establishment of the new ecosystem, where previously there is no any existence or the evidence of the ecosystem. For example, the bare lands where the soil conditions or the environmental conditions are totally unfavorable, and in that region there is no chance of existence or survival of any living organism or any species. Means no single species can be found or present in a particular area, just like rock, for example, or the bare lands, where the environmental conditions are totally imbalanced, or means extreme conditions of the pH, for example, saline soil, high salinity of the soil, where there won't be a germination of the seed, there won't be a chance of the germination of the seed. And in such regions called as bare land, where previously there is no any evidence or there is no single plant or any living organism or any single organism present in the particular region, representing a bare land like a rock, for example, rock, or a saline land, or the land with a extremely high pH or extremely low pH, where no plants and animals can be formed, can be developed, or cannot survive. Such bare lands or the rocks, where also there is a gradual or spontaneous development or evidence or appearance or the formation or the development of a new species, and that starts with the formation of single species, then slowly another species or of the plant or the invertebrate animals or the group of animals will come and reaches in a particular region, and where there is a spontaneous development and the formation of a new ecosystem, even in a bare land or the region where there is no chance or there is no suitable situation for the favorable condition for the development, even the germination of the single seed of the plant. And such regions where also in a over a long period of time, there may be a development of ecosystem. Means there is a slow or gradual formation and sustenance or the development of the variety of plants and animals, and the particular ecosystem get formed and will function normally, or functioning normal or normally functioning ecosystem, or a normally functioning ecosystem can be developed and can operate, can function normally in a region where there is a no chance, or previously there is no any evidence of the life. So ultimately this particular region is representing, or there is a formation and establishment and sustenance of the new ecosystem in a region where there is no any chance or there is no suitable condition for the development of the new organisms. But even such places or the sites where there is a development of new ecosystem called as ecological succession. So ecological succession means the development of new ecosystem. Development of new ecosystem means this will change. The ecological succession means there is a change from unfavorable conditions of the environment to the favorable conditions of the environment. Unfavorable conditions of the environment has changed into a favorable conditions of the environment, and ultimately representing the new ecosystem or forming a new ecosystem. And this kind of change from unfavorable condition to favorable condition and will then support the life and will form a new ecosystem uh, is called as ecological succession. Then community structure. Community structure will explain the community structure. So the community is mainly composed of three types of organisms. Community structure, the community is mainly composed of three types of organisms. So already we have defined the community. What is the definition of the community? The community is defined as the total number of organisms or the individuals belonging to all species or the different species in a given area at a given time is called as a community. So when there is a inclusion or presence of plants, animals and the microorganisms, the community structure is formed or can be formed by three type of living organisms or the entities such as plants, animals and the microorganisms. Plants, animals and the microorganisms, and this can be described as producer, consumers and the decomposers. Plants are called as producers, consumers are called as uh, uh, plants are called as producers, animals are called as consumers, and the microorganisms are called as decomposers. So the community structure is composed of three type of organisms. The first one is producers or the plants, green plants. So the producers are also called as autotrophs. Producers are also called as autotrophs, mainly green plants such as algae, green flagellates, etc. And these are capable of process of photosynthesis and transform radiant energy of the sun or sunlight into the chemical energy into a complex organic molecules like carbohydrates. So producers are mainly the green plants having chlorophyll, a green colored pigment present in chloroplast or the uh, one of the cell organelle present in the green plants, that is the chloroplast containing chlorophyll pigment, which is necessary for the process of photosynthesis. So in presence of sunlight, carbon dioxide and the chlorophyll pigment, green plants or the autotrophs undergoes the process of photosynthesis and forms the carbohydrates. That is chemical energy or the complex components or the organic molecules called as carbohydrates, which are formed by the producers or the plants. Then secondly, the consumers. These are also called as heterotrophs, which are dependent upon the plants for the food purpose. So the food need of the consumers is satisfied by the producers. So the consumers are heterotrophs because they cannot produce their food themselves but are dependent upon the producers or the plants. So the consumers are the heterotrophs, mainly animals that feed upon other organisms. The consumers are mainly animals which are feeding upon other organisms or which are feeding upon the producers or the plants, and this is because they are unable to synthesize their own food. They cannot prepare or synthesize their own food but are dependent on the producers of the plants or other organisms. The consumers, those feed upon plants, are called as herbivores. So these are the animals which are feeding onto the plants called as herbivores, and these are also called as primary consumers. For example, bisons, deers, etc. Bisons, deer, sheep, goat, cattle, buffaloes, which are feeding on to the variety of plants called as herbivores. And those consumers which feed upon other animals are called as carnivores. So the animals which are feeding on other animals are called as carnivores, and these are also called as secondary consumers which feed on primary consumers. Similarly, tertiary consumers feed on the secondary consumers. For example, lions, tigers, etc., which are the carnivores or the top carnivores, and this will represent the heterotrophs. This will represent the heterotrophs, maybe herbivores or the carnivores. They are the consumers which are feeding upon either onto the plants or producers and on or onto the different other organisms like uh, secondary consumers or tertiary consumers. Secondary consumers or tertiary consumers which are carnivores, and these are feeding on to the primary consumers, that is herbivores. So community structure is composed of three categories or three type of organisms, that is producers, consumers, and finally third one is the decomposers. So decomposers, these are also heterotrophs. The decomposers are also heterotrophs. They are also unable or fails to synthesize their food, and this mainly includes bacteria and fungi. This includes bacteria and fungi which decompose and break down the complex organic substances into simple abiotic substances. For example, the carbohydrates are split into carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, these are simple abiotic substances or the elements or the components, or may the part or the components of the physical environment or the abiotic factors. So the decomposers are also heterotrophs, and this mainly includes bacteria and fungi which are responsible to decompose or break down of complex organic substances, that is proteins, fats, or the carbohydrates. Proteins, fats, or the carbohydrates, which are the organic substances derived from variety of plants and animals and are simplified or digested or broken down into the simple abiotic substances such as carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, whatever the elements or the components or the elements present in the complex organic substances that are simplified into abiotic substances, harmless substances, and all these food components or the organic substances are decomposed by the bacteria and fungi called as decomposers. These are also called as saprotrophs. The decomposers are also called as saprotrophs. Saprotrophs because they are feeding upon decaying organic matters or a detritus material, decaying organic material, or the components of the organic substances of plant or animal origin that are used as a feed by the decomposers like bacteria and fungi, and thus these are called as saprotrophs. So today we'll stop here, and next time we'll explain the remaining part such as ecosystem or biosphere or the branches such as art ecology and scene ecology. So today with this, we'll stop here and we'll again continue the remaining part of the topic next time. Thank you.